How do we tell stories? Number one, since stories come from the depths of our souls, what you need to do is start with a simple truth you believe in. You believe in honesty. You believe in integrity. You believe in compassion. You believe in mercy. Yeah? Pick a simple truth that you strongly believe in. Around that, there must be a story in your life. If you don't have it, pick another one which represents and looks alike. Now, my simple truth is what we saw during lunchtime, what Sandy Prieto was saying about asking questions. My simple truth is, I believe in the power of questions. I believe in the power of inquiry. Rather than telling, complaining, or assuming, I ask people what they want, what their hopes are. That's my belief. That questions are much more powerful than assumptions. Questions are much more powerful than commands. That's my belief. So let's see what I'm going to do now with you. I'll create a story that will highlight this truth. Game kayo? Okay. Choose a small incident of your personal experience. So here's a small incident from my life. About 5 years ago, I had to babysit my 11-year-old daughter. She's now 17. 6 years ago. Do the math right, Mumbai. So 6 years ago, I had to babysit my little daughter, and she brought her friends along. But that day, I used to live in Parañaque. I had to drive up to Philam Towers, go up on the 21st floor, pick up a set of documents. So I put my kids, my daughter and her friends, in a Revo. I was driving those days. And I wore a barong, and I said, hey, I'll go do 2 tasks at one time. Look after the kids, spend quality time with the kids, and pick up the documents. So I drove from Parañaque to Salcedo Village, and as is usual, when you come behind Philam Towers in Salcedo Village, there was no parking. Yeah? Happens to you? Yeah? So choose a small incident of your personal experience. So when I got there, step number 2 pala, paint a scenery similar enough to current reality. So when I got there, no parking. What do? I have 3 kids in the back. I'm wearing a barong. I have to run up to Philam Towers. What's my best option? I did the thing. I did the next best stupid thing a dad would do. I left the kids in the car. I rolled down the windows a bit, put the air cons on full blast, left the engine running, told the kids, don't get out, no matter what. Don't get into the front of the seat. Don't touch the gears, the keys, etc. Stay in the back. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Yeah? I left the blinkers on. I said, even if somebody hauls the car away, just stay inside. Akong bahala. Yeah? Next best stupid thing. So after that, in the heat of the day, now I'm a little slim now. Do I look slim? No, man. So I was a little heavier about 6 years ago in a barong, and so I ran from where I parked the car. And as I was running, what were the 2 things on my mind, Agnes? What were my 2 tasks to accomplish? Pick up the documents, come back to the kids, right? Those were the 2 things. Nothing else. I was shut off to everything else, correct? So I ran. So as I was running, even though I had 2 things on my mind, of course, I still had a whole brain, remember? So I was looking at the people and the security guards and the x-ray machine, and I ran through the lobby of Philam Towers. And as I was running, I saw things. And then there was an elevator. And I was about to lunge into the elevator when something like a sledgehammer hit my chest. Bang! Is that okay? Bang! It was like a toro. It was probably a bull, what do you call that? Tamarao or something. I went, oh! Now, usually when something like this happens to you, right? Suddenly, what's your first animalistic reaction? Yeah? Even though I was dying, it was like that shot in Rocky when Sylvester Stallone gets hit. Remember, he goes, ugh. So somebody hit me like that. Whoa! I turned around and I go, what the? You could pick any of the 26 letters of alphabet. You could A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I go, what the H? Yeah? I go, what the H? And remember, I'm like Gandhi in a barong. a little overweight Gandhi in a barong, and I go, what the H with my Indian accent. I go, what the H? And I turn around. That's my reaction. But what's my intention behind that reaction? Guess that. Do I want to kill the guy or whatever hit me? Or do I want an apology? Apology. Thank you very much. So I turn around. And of course, as I turn around, my brain's still working, my eyes are working, my lips tighten up, my jaws tighten up, my fist becomes tight. I say, what the? Ladies and gentlemen, you got to guess what I saw. As I turned around, my life and death appeared right in front of me. The guy who had hit me was about 3 times my size. Yeah, 3 times. He was like King Kong in tight jeans, tight black jeans. He had a black skivvy. He had muscles here, the size of my 2 Bombay legs put together. And he had a punky hairstyle, and he had a belt that was 6 inches wide. And he had skulls and bones on that thing. And he had a stud here and a stud there. So I'm turning around, and all I need is an apology. And what's the 2 things on my mind? Get the documents, go back to the kids, and I go, what the? Pick any of those letters of your choice from the alphabet. I go, what the? And I see this. And suddenly, the world stops. The security guard who was frisking people, he stopped. He pulled out his gun. Yeah? The receptionist who was picking up IDs, she paused, and she had a shotgun in the back, like in a showdown, right? Remember the Western? She pulled that one out. All the pedestrians, they stopped. My kids in the car, in my head, in my mind, they too stopped. They went like Home Alone. So as I turned around, so I saw this guy go, that wasn't it. He says, what's the problem, sir? It's a good thing you told me I was a sir. It's a good thing you said I wasn't Raju. What's the problem, sir? The story didn't end there. The struggle, the suspense didn't end there. 2 more guys, just like him, fanned out from behind him and stood by his side. There you go. Now, I had to make a decision. It was a life and choice decision. Yeah? Leadership is also about decision making in crisis. Is it not? Yeah? And I had like about half a second. Maybe 1/5 of a second. And I saw everything frozen. In my mind, I think even GMA went into a freeze frame, like Matrix, in Malacanang. She was about to sign a law and she said, wait, may problema sa Philan Towers. Showdown at Philan Towers, you know. Showdown at high noon. There's a Bombay who's going to become biryani very soon. So I stopped. Oh, my leadership training, my simple truth surfaced from the depths of my soul. I paused for a minute. I unclenched my fist. I loosened my double chin. And I said, I gotta think about this, man. This is a crisis moment. And I said this. Bam, 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 bam. Whatever I said was in a question format. But I got my apology right after. The statement I made, ladies and gentlemen, was this. If I bumped into you, then I am sorry. I'll repeat that. If I bumped into you, then I am sorry. It was a question, a conditional question. Now, what's my simple truth? I believe in questions. So after I asked that question, in that flash of a second, this King Kong in tight jeans and his 2 sidekicks, Shaquille O'Neal and Magic Johnson, they paused. Hang on. His brain circuits, I could see them, like you see it in MRI or ECG. They went left, right brain, you know, all those blue, green colors. And he looked at me, and after what's the problem, he saw me go like that. He too went like that. Now, when you ask a question, suddenly the power that you hold, the ball that you hold in your court is in your client's court. Now, he has to be the leader. Am I not right? He has to make that decision that should he cook biryani right now or should he just go away peacefully? Yeah? And so he paused, he saw me change, and he realized that he too hadn't seen me. Just like I hadn't seen him, he hadn't seen me too. His response was, sir, it was I who bumped into you, and I'm sorry. End of story. The security guard went back to frisking people. The pedestrians started to move. The girl put the shotgun back. My kids went back to playing. And GMA signed that law that she had to sign. Boomba is free. So, this is a true story. I'm not making it up. I swear to you. This is a true story. It's just that I wrote it for you to enjoy it. Step number 6 in storytelling, or step number 5, sorry, is all your stories must end happily ever after. Like the Princess and the Pea story. They must. Otherwise, they don't inspire. They don't serve a purpose. Have you ever told somebody a sad story to inspire him? It doesn't work, right? Have you told the story of somebody who died? You go to a funeral and talk about death, like how somebody died. No, you talk about little things, right? So every time your story must end in happily ever after. You're sitting down your client, you're sitting down your colleague in front of you, you're coaching or mentoring him. If you're doing a 3 or a 5-minute story, it must somehow create positive, constructive, hopeful change inside his dib-dib. Is that right? Dib-dib, yeah? Yeah, okay. Puso, sorry. Sorry, my Tagalog needs improvement. So your stories must end in success. At the end of storytelling, if the simple truth was highlighted well enough, your people will get it. Otherwise, you just mention it in a few words. Always bring back to the original truth. That's how you tell stories. Does that make sense? Kaya natin yan? Okay. I have no idea how much time I've left. 15 more minutes to go? All right. So let the truth be transferred. Actually, I'm done the way it goes. You know? But I'm not going to ask you to get up yet. Stay. So let the truth be transferred. A little science behind storytelling. This little learning that I have comes from a guy called Brian Sturm. He's a professor at North Carolina, and he talks about storytelling. And he says, you know, what happens during storytelling is this, Raju. There are people sitting in front of you. Yeah? They have their own bunch of thoughts. They have their own